Today we are going to be talking about sealed collections, the pros and cons, history with sealed collections. We're just going to go to town. So let's get into it.
Nerds.
Okay, so here's what's up. I want to talk to you about sealed collections because there's a lot of ways to do it, good or bad, or right and wrong, I guess, So for example, I have a sealed collection, but it's very specific to a couple things. So for example, my main sealed collection is all 25th anniversary based.
Okay.
And I started collecting sealed product from that because I thought it would be a fun round to go, and I knew it was very limited. It was throughout the whole year, but it's like I don't have to attach to anything. Once it's done, and it's cool. I can just put it on the shelf. I have it up here. So that's all my 25th anniversary, and that's as far as it went.
Is there a lot of 25th anniversary?
There's enough to where you'll notice it in your wallet, so that's what I do. I collected sealed based on an event. Okay. I collect sealed ETBs because it's almost like collecting cards, but they're just boxes.
True.
There is a way, like, you could look at an ETB sealed collection as a set. You know what I mean? Yeah, there you go. He's getting it over there somewhere.
Those are the ETBs.
Oh, yeah. So I don't have a complete set, but I'm also not looking to complete a set because I'm not going to try to spend $3,000 on a box, for just a sealed collection.
A box that sits there on the shelf.
Yeah. So my ETBs I collect because I already finished all of the sets I want to collect. I'm done with all my vintage, and I'm looking for something else fun to collect that's like an annual thing that I can hop on and easily buy and easily store, and it's just like a fun little connection to the collection.
And ETBs definitely fill that role. For sure.
100%.
So, okay, I do have a question about that. With the ETBs, have you gone... What was the first ETB that's sealed that you have? Like, what was your starting point?
So my starting point was actually, what's the one with EV huge on it? Shining Fates.
Oh, okay.
So mine was Shining Fates, and that I only started collecting that, or I started collecting that at that point because that was when I was finally done with all my my vintage collections. So I'm like, we'll just start collecting now. Okay. It was at Shiny Fates, but I have some older ones that go back because there were some cheap older ones that went back 2 or 3 ETBs. So I have a pretty good range. I'm probably still like the first 15 shy because, again, I'm not spending more than $60 for one of these boxes.
So, okay, I have a question again.
Okay.
So with these ETBs that you've collected.
Yeah.
Okay, so you started with Shining Fates, and then you bought a couple back. So, like, do you have all of them? So obviously there's one that's the oldest,
right?
That you have. Do you have all of them
newer
than that one? Or you have some that are older because they were cheaper, but then there's like a couple maybe.
No, so if you're looking at the first one ever made, I don't have that one and the 15 after it, pretty much. A rough number. And then whatever that number is, I have it completed from that point until today.
Okay, so
there's no like gaps in it.
You don't. Okay, that's what I was asking you. Do you have any gaps in your ETBs? So you don't have any gaps.
No, if there were any gaps, then I could afford them because the gaps would be small enough. I'm not going far back to where it's like the gaps would be hundreds of dollars.
Well, here's an interesting question then too. If there's only like 15 you don't have, when did they start making ETBs?
I can't remember. I researched it. I think it's like 2016 or something.
Oh, okay, so they're a newer.
Yeah, ETBs are newer when it comes to like vintage and when it comes to like collecting Pokemon at all. It's like they're relatively newer. Newer meaning that's what now 8 years, 7 or 8 years.
I did not know that, so I'm sure.
Yeah.
Some of our listeners also did not know.
I didn't know when I started either because I was like, I found someone that had a list online, a very comprehensive list. I'm like, yeah, let's get them all. And then looking on eBay, the oldest one in like a decent condition was $3,000. I'm like, yeah, pass. And I'm not collecting any of this to try to make money or try to get money out of it in the future. It's not an investment to me. It's literally just wall art that is a fun conversation and something that keeps the addiction alive. So
keep it alive.
Yeah. So I'm not going to spend $3,000 on wall art, you know? I mean,
I feel that.
Realistically, maybe I will if the right opportunity came.
Well, and that brings up another question. So a sealed collection literally is just wall art. So
that is for me.
Is that the goal?
For me.
For you, it's just to look at.
Mine is. So
okay.
my main thing actually,
there you go.
My main thing is to constantly have something to look forward to that's an easy collection thing.
Okay.
So I always look forward to the new sets because they have new cards, or they potentially have new cards that I want. Now that I have a gold collection that I want to collect every gold, it's almost guaranteed that every set in the future is going to have at least 1 or 2 cards that I'd want. But I wanted something a little different. You know what I mean?
Cool.
If I collect 90% of my cards, they're all in binders on my shelf. Where ETBs, at least, it's like you're not going to hide those anywhere.
And they do look cool. I will say that.
Yeah.
They have some pretty. They don't hold back on the art for ETBs.
Yeah, they're doing it. They're doing it better.
They do it.
In the past, it's been like some kind of monotone, duotone colors. The art was cool, but it's like now, like the Arceus box that came back last year in like September or something.
Oh yeah,
it's like white and gold.
Yes.
You know, like reflective. It's really cool. The newest box that came out, the Crown Zenith, looks really cool because it has jagged, cool edges. It looks like an old jester from like the old castle days, you know.
True. Crown Zenith ETB.
Yeah, they're making them really cool. So I'm curious to see what they'll look like in the future. I hope they kind of ride that train of like trying to up the art every time rather than making some templated, you know, design that it's like, oh, this is just an easy pass.
Well, it definitely feels like that last one of the year, right? So Crown Zenith was the final set of the year, right?
Right, of Sword and Shield.
Of Sword and Shield. So it feels like when they do that last ETB, it's usually a little bit more...
A little fire.
A little more up there in the quality.
You can tell it's like...
They care.
Is this like a special edition or some kind of like extra edition, you know?
Which I would say it is, because I mean, think about Crown Zenith, since we're bringing that one up. That's one of the main ways to actually get pulls. I mean, they didn't do...
Booster boxes.
So you had to pretty much get ETBs.
Yeah. I mean, they have I think they have those single hangy packs, you know, with the cardboard and stuff, but still it's like...
Oh, what are they called?
I don't know. Single hangy packs. Blister packs. Yeah, blister packs.
Get blisters from all the packs you're opening.
Right. I wish. If I could have that many packs to open to where I'm getting blisters, I would be happy, you know?
To be fair,
baby. Blister me up.
You have enough packs that if we opened them all, it would blister us.
If I opened everything in my sealed collection with all of my 25th anniversary, with all my ETBs, then yeah, we'd have plenty of stuff to keep us, keep us happy. Here's another thing too, a third arm. Okay. So one, I have a 25th anniversary that is done. It'll never grow. My ETBs that will grow every 3 months or whenever they pump something out. And based on what they pump out, because for example, Scarlet and Violet, I have to buy 4 because 2 artworks from Pokemon Center, 2 artworks from every other schmo. You know what I mean?
So let's talk about that too. So I'm sure some of our listeners don't know this. Why do you have to buy 4? Explain why you have to buy 4 ETBs with this upcoming set.
Right. So for me, and this is my personal ETB collection, and also I think with a lot of ETB specific collectors, they would agree that they want 1 of each box, period. Now, they don't just want 1 of each set. And if you did, how do you pick? Because if Pokemon Center has 2 different artworks with the exact same stuff in it, and everyone else has 2 different artworks with the exact same stuff in it, then really you'd be kind of picking and choosing between what artwork you like, and there's a lot of like, you know, ups and downs to that. I mean, there's so many like things that you have to just ponder and second guess and re-guess that it's like, I'm just buying all 4 of them. You know, I want it no doubt like, oh, you have an ETB collection? Yep, and it's complete up to this point, you know?
What do we say in the Pokemon world? Gotta catch them all.
Oh, I'm like,
What?
feed the addiction. I guess no one says that in Pokemon.
Feed the addiction.
I see that as my own slogan. Yeah.
Gotta catch them all, right? We gotta catch all the ETBs.
Yeah, that'd be nice. So that's what I was saying is like,
Okay,
25th anniversary, ETBs, and then a compilation of like either eye candy or gifts. So for example, I have a bunch of sealed metal tin Pokemon balls.
Oh, yes.
They don't go with ETBs. They don't go with the 25th anniversary. But there's something cool. It's like, oh, that'd be fun to put on a shelf. Or like my wife or my mother-in-law gets me like Pokemon themed Band-Aids or like a Pez dispenser or something that's not even like card related.
Yeah.
And I'm like, hey, that'll be part of my sealed collection. I'll just put it on the shelf and never open it because, you know, I feel like if I open a Pez dispenser, I'm just giving it to my child. You know, so it's now a toy for a kid.
It's a toy.
If it's sealed, it's like, now it's a sealed product that I can put on a fun shelf. I mean, I have so many shelves in this place that it's fun to like get something new and just put it next to it, not super organize it.
Shelves.
So those three things.
Okay.
Specific to 25th, ETB, and eye candy / gifts.
And you have everything from 25th, right? Like
that I've
nothing...
seen.
Okay.
Well, that's the thing is like, I thought I did, but then we found that 25th anniversary calendar with all those mini Funko Pops.
Oh, yeah.
That's 25th specific. So I was like, oh, I got to buy two, one for the collection. And then I was talking to my wife and I asked her, hey, for like birthdays and holidays and stuff, instead of trying to figure out what to get me, just give me Funko Pops that are Pokemon specific because I would enjoy that. I don't like Funko Pops, but Pokemon I'd be down with. Well, she got me one and it had a 25th anniversary stamp on it. So I'm like,
no.
So I'm glad she got that. But now it's like there's these little
must be
holes that
more.
I need to fill. Yeah. It's like, what is out there that I haven't seen? So
Classic.
that's kind of fun for me because I think all the holes that all the holes that I'm seeing are usually really cheap stuff. I didn't miss any of the big stuff, you know. So
which is good.
Yeah.
Because
that'll just go
costs a lot more, yeah. The bigger stuff you got to pay.
Yeah. So pros and cons to holes in your collection like that, you know.
Okay, so here's another question I have.
Do ask.
There's a lot of ETBs that you have back there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
the shelf is
can't
bending.
see that. There's a lot of ETBs. So he's missing 15, but he probably has 40 or something. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot. There's probably like 40. Okay.
Yeah, I'd
so
say close to 50.
What would make you open them? Like, is there a scenario in your life where you would open all of those ETBs?
Yeah. If I came across all of them, I don't want duplicates.
Okay. So if you could get doubles, you would open them.
Yeah, if I came across a really cheap Evolutions box that was just beat up and stuff, then I'd open that beat up one. If I got one that was a good price that was in better condition, then I'd open up the crappy one. It's like here's the thing.
Okay.
I have zero desire to open up any of the ETB boxes. Zero. Because I'm a vintage collector and it's already done. And any modern cards that I actually like, I already have. So if I open up any of these ETB boxes, I'm either guaranteed disappointment or doubles.
That's true.
There's literally nothing in those ETBs that I don't already have or want. So
yeah, I mean, I feel like the only reason you would be for the sleeves.
Yeah.
For
the sleeves.
I mean, if you were doing, like, if you just wanted the sleeves that they come with, or maybe the dice, but
yeah, but not
are
for
they?
me.
Is there that many different dice in there that you want to like?
That's the thing is like you can buy all these little pieces that come in ETBs on eBay separately, easy. So I wouldn't open my maturing at $150 ETB to get the dice when I can spend $6 and get off eBay.
Okay, so next question. So you would never open them. There's just not a reason to.
Yep, there's zero reason.
Would you ever sell them?
Yeah, I think I would. If I was really strapped for cash, I'd rather sell off my Pokemon than have my family starve. But that's the extreme.
There you go.
I wouldn't sell them.
Save the family starving. No
really,
reason.
that's really what it is. I would never sell my Pokemon to get more Pokemon unless it's stuff I just don't like. Like for example, I've done that in the past when I have a huge collection of random stamped Pokemon from some of the sets.
Okay.
I bought them off eBay when I was a kid. Someone sold me a binder filled with stamped reverse holographic Pokemon, and at the time I was like, oh, these are cool. As time goes by, they get more expensive because, you know, people are really getting into the stuff, but I still don't like them. So I'm like, in that case, I'm happy to get $400 for all this to nail my vintage set, you know. But something that I'm collecting very specific, like ETBs, I'm not going to sell them just to get a card that I could honestly probably just buy later, you know.
So definitely not for the contents. So because there's no reason, because there's no reason to get the content out of them, there's no reason to open them.
Yeah, no reason and no desire.
And you would only sell them
emergency.
Honestly, yeah, if there's an emergency, maybe. Yeah,
and that makes sense. That's not just the sealed. I wouldn't sell anything that I actually like in my Pokemon collection unless it's an emergency, because my collection, in my eyes, I honestly think that I'm going to have it until I die, and then hopefully whoever succeeds me,
we part.
Yeah, seriously.
Part with
and then
Koopa.
whoever gets them at the end, I hope they just at least read my instructions. But I really don't care after I die. You know, I mean, I do care, but
you're dead.
I don't have a whole lot of authority after I'm dead. So yeah, it's like, yeah, this is all for me. Period. I have no idea what it's worth. And nor do I really care. I mean, I know I have some good ones and I know I have some cool sets, but I just don't care because it's like whatever it is worth now, it could be completely different in the future, up or down. Who knows? So I don't pay attention to it. I just chip away at it.
So, okay, next question.
Oh, yeah. Question time.
Since we're doing more or less a comparison between sealed and unsealed, right? Let's say you are strapped for cash. Okay. Are you selling the sealed collection first, or are you selling the non-sealed?
If I was an emergency,
like obviously, I feel like obviously the vintage sets. I feel like you're going to be last period.
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Okay, so vintage obviously is last.
Here's how it's going to go: is if I'm an emergency and I need to start chipping away my collection, it's going to be vintage absolutely last. That's the number one rule, and 2 is whatever I can sell for the most with the least amount of pain. So if I can sell one card that would get me a lot of money, or 6 ETBs that would give me the same amount, I'll sell the one card because it's like, yeah, rip one little Band-Aid off this card. I remember I had it once. Oh, 6 ETBs. Yeah, my shelf is looking kind of crappy now, and I got the same amount of money. It's like, yeah, for me, it's like after my vintage sets, it's really a matter of like what hurts the least and gets the most amount of money.
What hurts the less?
Hurts the less.
Write it down. That's English.
Yeah.
That's correct.
I'm an expert. But
facts.
That is
okay. Cool. That's all I got. That's my questions.
I tried to be a man, but I couldn't squeak it out. Yeah. So I mean, honestly, here's a question for you, Lego Master.
Oh no.
You obviously, because we've chatted about this plenty of times, you obviously have so many sealed Legos. Not exactly for the reason I have sealed Pokemon, but do you think you'll ever get into that train where you have sealed for sealed?
You know, I thought about it, and quite honestly, the only reason I would keep something sealed as far as a Lego is to sell it one day.
Okay, investment.
And honestly, I don't care to sell them to make money. Like, it's just that's not what I do. You know what I mean? And I have nothing against people that collect sealed sets, right? But to me, like a sealed collection is only there as an investment. Like, there's no other purpose for me, me, right? Because, you know, but like when it comes to Lego, like I want to be able. I like to see them built. You know what I mean? Like, to me, they're like models, you know? And so while I do have a bunch, it's more because of space than anything.
Yeah, a bunch of sealed. Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know. I thought about for a while trying to do like double purchases of some sets to potentially save them, because honestly, Lego, they retire fast. Like some of the sets they do, you could buy a set in January and it could be retired by August. You know, so like, and at that point, that set sealed is now worth way more. And I mean, so there's certain sets where it's like, yeah, I could go for it, but I don't know.
Right.
Again, I would only ever do that if it was an investment and that's why I was doing it.
Right.
I mean, there's some sets I've actually bought from eBay to like finish my collection of built sets, and the price just goes so crazy on them. But you're not guaranteed that, you might end up with, oh, hey, this is a really rare set, I'm going to buy it. Or you wouldn't even know that. You might be like, oh, this is a really cool set, I'm going to buy 3 of them. But then Lego might be like, oh, we really like this set, we're going to mass produce it until no one buys it anymore. And, then they're on the shelves for 5-10 years. And you're like, why are they still on the shelves? I got 3, So it's such a hard market to kind of play with in that way,
That makes sense.
Know. I feel like that's similar with Pokemon. Whoa. I feel like that's similar with Pokemon because, they could release a set or reprint the set for a couple years.
Yeah, they've been doing that with Evolving Skies, Evolving Skies has been out for so long, and people that tried to hoard a bunch at the beginning finally are getting stuff out of it, but for months and months they were kicking themselves because it's like, I didn't know they were going to reprint for the next year,
And that's the thing, like, how many reprints are they doing? It's just so hard with,
right.
And I think that's hard with any sealed collection. If you're trying to make a profit or something like that, it's a long investment. Like these are not short-term investments. You know what I mean?
You're not going to turn $50 in a week,
A short-term investment would be buying the cards, opening the packs, and selling the bangers. Like that's a short-term investment. Long-term, I mean, you could be keeping these packs for 10 plus years before it's like, okay, now it's valuable.
Yeah.
And even then it's like only certain ones reach that value. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah. It's a lot of gambling. And if you're collecting, or if you're collecting sealed just to turn around, then at least it's easier to store. You can put it, in a closet somewhere and you don't have to worry about it. You can forget about it. You hopefully forget about it. And then in 10 years, your grandkid pulls it out. What's this? And you're like, that's a house payment. That's what that is.
And then they crack it open. You're like,
yeah. And then they rip it open or shove a pencil in it.
Yeah.
Your family owes me 10 grand.
I will say vintage Lego are insanely expensive. Yeah. Like what's
a vintage Lego? What's a good vintage Lego?
So the big ones I would say are pirates. So they did some pirate ones, and then they did some castle. There were some castle ones. These are like real early, but they did Lego and castle. Those ones are pretty rare to find, but there's also some of the minifigs.
Oh yeah, the minifigs
are wild. Like there was this one set. We'll just throw this out there. There was this one set. It was a Cloud City set that had Boba Fett. Okay, it was for whatever reason they didn't make very many of this set. So if you happen to be one of those people that bought a couple of them, whoo, okay, and it's not about the set. The set doesn't even matter. What matters is the Boba Fett minifig. Okay, there was this Boba Fett minifig. He's green. Only set you can get him in is this set. There's no other set where that specific version of him was printed. Okay, that one minifig, $5,000.
What?
One minifig, $5,000.
You have to be
That's
really
how rare.
into Lego to like want that puppy.
But at the same time, if you're like, because there's so many different Lego collectors too. Because there's Lego collectors like me who build them, right? There's people that just collect minifigs, and that's all they do. If you find a guy who just collects Boba Fett minifigs, that thing's worth it's worth the $5,000 to get, you know? I mean,
that's his chase card.
You'd be better off trying to find some knowingless individual at some random store that sold it back, or maybe in your backyard. Like,
Right.
you know, I don't know what you have out there, but maybe like your Facebook marketplace, you find someone's like, oh, I got thousands of Legos I'm trying to get rid of. And you're like, hey, do you happen to have this Boba Fett minifig in that big pile?
Yeah.
I'll take your big pile,
Let me look,
for $20. Like, I'll even give you a couple hundred. And then boom, you're like, I paid $100 for this $5,000 minifig. You know, like that kind of crap. I don't know.
Yeah. And it happens, you know,
It
happens all the time. I don't know how much is staged on the internet, but I feel like a few key ones are legit where he's like, you actually found this at a thrift store, you lucky sucker.
Yeah.
Some people just want attention though, I swear.
And that's the thing. Sometimes you're like, I don't believe you.
Yeah.
I don't believe a word you're saying.
Way too good to be true.
It's like there's no way you went and bought a bunch of random cards and there was a Shadowless Charizard in there.
And instantly know all this knowledge about, oh, I just bought this on a whim, but looks like it has all these bangers. It's like,
Bull.
Whatever. Yeah, I don't believe you.
Yeah. I saw one of those videos and I was like, this mom's selling off her son's set of like thousands and thousands of Pokemon cards, and she sold it to you for $500. Come on.
Yeah. Give me a break.
Did the son die? Like, come on. Like,
Yeah.
This isn't real.
Is he not in the picture at all?
Oh,
Because he
man.
would tell you different.
Yeah. So anyway.
Sweet. Well, that's it. Just wanted to chat about a seal collection. I thought it'd be kind of a fun little back and forth because,
There you go.
yeah, I didn't think I'd ever start one because I always have the itch to open, but now I cured it by already having what I want.
I love opening. I'm all about that.
Yeah.
I'm all about that open life.
Open. Yeah, I get that.
Just cut the seal. Cut the seal. We ain't got time for the seals.
Pass.
Slash them.
Pass. I need the seal. I need them.
So anyway.
All right, take it easy, guys. Thanks for tuning in.
Thanks for being here.